Oh, can we hear me now? Can we hear me now? Are we good? Alright, sorry about that, guys. Well, let me repeat what I've been saying for the last several minutes. Didn't realize I was silent. Yeah, so I'm going to be working on basically continuing the mutant mobs that I worked on last time. I don't remember what all I showed last time I streamed. I don't think I was super far into it last time, so I think there's a decent amount of new stuff to show you guys. And then I'm going to just continue working on stuff. So, but yeah. So as you guys can see, let me just do a quick little check over my last stream real quick. I just want to not repeat anything I've shown. Actually, I might just repeat it anyways, because some of you guys might not have been in the last stream. So yeah, where we're at right now is we are making mutant mobs so that, especially in radiation zones, or if your world enters into a nuclear winter, the longer you actually play in the world, the more the world changes over time. So this is kind of an example of like a kind of heavily irradiated area right here. You know, you have like some of the skulk stuff, you have a lot of moss, pale moss, some of these dead weeds, even some netherwort, netherrack. You get some magma cubes over there, spider webs accumulating, even some slime blocks are kind of spreading across the ground even more so. You get some of the skulk spreading everywhere. So like the longer you play, the more and more the world's going to transform around you. It's kind of part of what I'm doing. So on top of that, we have a whole bunch of different mobs that basically over time irradiate and become mutant. So right now you can see the radioactive bee is a lot bigger than the normal bee, although I haven't quite added everything that I want to add for the bee. Whatever. Where is the catalyst? As you guys can see, I have a little bit of radiation poisoning because I'm in a radiation zone, so I'm going to reset my radiation. I'm just checking out mutant, just like the one we see in your childhood. Nice, nice, yeah. So, for instance, like, you know, these mobs will mutate over time too. It's not like an instant mutation. And radiation zones, like where I am right now, see how it's red around me? That means I'm in a radiation zone where a nuke went off. But if you also fire off 10 nukes in your world, the entire world becomes slightly radioactive. But yeah, so this is what like a mutant Enderman looks like as an example. And mutant Enderman are stronger, a little bit faster, and harder to kill. How do I do the red fog? It is the fog command, and then I just basically apply another fog to the overworld. So in terms of other stuff that's going on, I'm just gonna basically quickly run through all the mobs that I've done, because that's basically what I'm doing right now is I'm running through a whole bunch of the overworld mobs that kind of spawn pretty commonly. I don't need Tenderman, and basically making mutant forms of them. So you guys are gonna see here in a second. Sheep I've not yet done. See, horse just becomes a zombie horse, nothing too fancy there. I'll skip that one just because it's not the most interesting. We'll show you the cod. I already showed you the Enderman. Show you the creeper. Show you the slime. Actually, I won't show you the slime. Zombies, husks are kind of the same thing. Escape spider is the same thing. Show you a witch. So I've done a lot of these mobs, but I've not yet done all of the mobs. So it's still a work in progress. Did I do skeleton? Did I grab a skeleton? That's skeleton horse. I don't want a skeleton horse. Alright. Can you make the mobs a bit cursed, like they're a foot bigger or something like that? Yeah, I mean, I've already made a lot of them do have like kind of mutant visuals. You'll see here once this fish actually mutates. Because remember, it takes time. They have to build up radiation before they become mutant. But like this is what a mutant cod looks like, for example. Now, mutant cod, whenever they're in water, will actually attack the player. So, you know, give them a little bit to mutate. So obviously right now you can barely see underwater. Right now he's a normal fish. As soon as he becomes mutant, he's actually become aggressive towards the player. And that's the same for all fish types. They become like kind of weird and deformed and aggressive. So you'll see these salmon becoming deformed and aggressive as they become radioactive. So the water becomes super dangerous. Yeah. So that's an example of the fish. Pigs, nothing too complicated because they kind of already have a mutant form in game with the hoglins. So basically, pigs mutate into hoglins, and hoglins, when they're in the overworld, will automatically mutate into zoglins. So that is kind of what the mutant form of the pig does. And so, of course, the really interesting thing is that the zoglin actually just kind of attacks anything it sees. So you actually have more of somewhat of an ecosystem even in the actual overworld now, because this will actually kind of kill any mobs that it finds. Okay, then we have the cow, which also has two stages like the pig, where it mutates twice. What's up, freaking? So the cow obviously is going to turn into a mushroom. The mushroom, after a little bit, is going to also get irradiated. And you'll see kind of what he looks like in a couple of seconds. Once he becomes a mutant. He still isn't. I'm actually not sure why it's taking so long to mutate. Come on, cow. There he is. So once he becomes a mutant, he's actually going to start spreading mycelium. And there's been a cow over here. This mushroom cow has been hanging out here for a while. So you can see this whole area has become very like mushroomified. So like mycelium grows, mushrooms themselves actually grow. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens with this when the cow he just kind of mycelium mushroom islandifies an area. Could you use the command like a mutant cod to make a custom shark mob? I mean, you probably could. Do you have any way that I can DM you? I have some ideas for a video. I would say just drop it in my Discord or just leave it in a comment on a video. Do you do it where the mobs have a scoreboard and after a certain amount of time they turn mutant? Yep, that's exactly what I do. So as another example, chickens will mutate into baby striders. Now, mutant baby striders are not the same as normal striders as they are in the overworld or in the nether, because a mutant baby strider actually netherifies the area around them. So you guys can already see here, like I've had some baby striders in the area, so they'll turn like certain things like andesite and diorite into magma. They'll turn dirt into netherrack. Sand becomes soul sands. Moss becomes like netherwort. So they will just netherify an entire area. You guys can see like cobblestone becomes this like cracked nether brick. There's another example, the spider. Once he gets netherified, or once he gets mutated, he gets this big head, and he actually shoots out these projectiles, and the projectiles actually summon in a whole bunch of webs. So, whereas most of these mobs only terraform on the surface, the spider is one of the few that actually will terraform, especially underground. So even caves are going to look different. Now, also, slime will mutate. They don't actually look any different because weirdly play animation type stuff doesn't really work with the slime. But instead, slimes, as they hop around, once they become mutated, they're going to move a little bit differently, but also see he's transforming the ground beneath him into slime blocks. It's a little bit hard to see because he's under this skulk stuff. But yeah, you can see the ground beneath is literally getting transformed into slime. You guys saw at the beginning of the video, I have a huge slime pit where basically a whole bunch of slimes have been hanging around for a while and have basically just slimified this entire bottom area. Um, Yeah, I actually do want to make the phantoms bigger and do more damage. We can go a bit further away. Bit too far the way. Sorry, let me read chat. We can go a bit too far the way your system works is that any mutant mob will change the area around them based on their looks. You can make the boss fight to every mutant mob based on what the mob is. So not every mob transforms the area, just because, I mean, that'd be too much, I think. But even so, we have a lot of different ways, basically a whole bunch of custom biomes that's already happening. Is it possible to try and make your own mobs, like with commands, use block entities to make full-on monsters? I mean, I've done some stuff with that in the past. I was certainly planning to do it more stuff in the future. I don't know if I'm going to make the Enderman a mutant. I'm just going to showcase a couple more of these things. So you guys can see the husks and zombies. They actually become bigger and they kind of hunch over like this. Their animations look a little bit weird when I'm in creative mode, but you can see they'll actually like crawl towards the player. Oops. He's not going to right now because he's too high up, but you can see that they become giant, they actually crawl towards the player, and they are stronger than they would normally be. I can taste air. Nice, good for you. So, yeah, husk zombies, like I said, they get a little bit stronger, and they just kind of have that weird deformed look to them. Goodbye, Enderman. So witches, they actually don't have a deformed look. My view of the witch is kind of they use radiation, or sorry, use magic to immunize themselves from radiation, so they don't actually get deformed, but they actually adjust some of their magic using the radiation around them. So once a witch actually becomes irradiated, she actually summons in skulk catalysts, and then the skulk corruption spreads. So that's kind of the corruption unique to the witch. I'm just gonna place one over here because she won't affect. A lot of the transformations don't affect already transformed areas, but if it's like a naturally generated zone, it's more likely to affect it. So you can see she's already spreading some of the skulk in the area. So like I said, a lot of this is like the longer you play in an area that's irradiated, like more and more of that area is going to transform over time, which I think is really cool. That the world actually like changes around you as you're playing in these radiated zones. So another example here we got is the bogged. So what happens with the bogged is he actually will spread radiation. So he irradiates any nearby mob, including the player. So if I'm near him, you're going to see I'm going to start gaining radiation way faster than I normally otherwise would. Then the skeleton, when he radiates, I'm also going to show the stray. So the skeleton is a little bit unique. Number one, in terms of combat, so the bog doesn't have any special forms of combat. He just irradiates you, which also means you can get radiation poisoning from being nearby him. The skeleton has an enchanted bow, but if you get too close, he actually switches to a knockback sword. On top of just being stronger, harder to kill, and bigger. More than that, though, he actually grayifies an area, so he'll transform stuff into like pale moss, and like he will some areas over here where he actually transforms some of the trees. So he'll actually transform, like this is an area where I had a skeleton kind of hanging out and transform the area around. So you can kind of see what that looks like. This sort of area has been kind of a bit transformed by a skeleton. And then I also got the stray, which when the stray becomes mutant, gonna catch up all. A skeleton boss fight over 30 seconds or so as far as little skeleton spider hybrids. I'm probably not going to do any boss fights for this because I've already done a lot of boss fights. You can just kind of incorporate those existing boss fights. But really, boss fights are going to be a separate video. This is going to be kind of general transformations. So anyways, the stray becomes extra dangerous because the stray, as he's walking around, is actually going to spread layers of snow. And if you are near a stray and you're standing on top of any type of snow, you're going to get radiation much quicker than you otherwise would. On top of, you're going to be slowed. So being in snow near a stray is going to irradiate you and slow you. So the stray also kind of transforms the environment, although strays only spawn in snow biomes to begin with, so it's really not gonna. Whoa, what the heck is going on? No idea what that was about. Anyways, yeah, so the stray kind of transforms the environment around you, although they really only spawn in snow biomes to begin with. So the strays probably aren't going to snowify all that much. But if you are in a cold biome and you're standing in snow near a stray, you will be more susceptible to damage because you're going to get slowed, so it's going to be easier for you to get attacked, and you're going to be building up radiation just by being in snow near a stray. So that's kind of what we got so far. I think that's most of the mobs that I have at the moment. But I hope you guys enjoy where this is going. Like I said, the whole hope of this is to make it feel so like you're actually in an irradiated environment and like that the world actually feels different when you're near a nuke that has gone off. So what I'm working on now is just the overworld mobs. My view, the Nether's kind of already radiated, so like I don't think the Nether mobs have a mutant form because they kind of are already the mutant form of this stuff. Um, so that's where I'm at so far. There's a couple mobs I still need to do. I'm not necessarily going to do every single overworld mob because there's just kind of a lot, and I do want to get this video out eventually. That being said, there's still, like, I want to get the essential ones, so, like, I still need to do villagers. And honestly, villagers are probably just going to become vindicators, quite frankly. But they're going to take a really long time to irradiate, but they will become, like, these kind of murderous versions of themselves. They kind of go feral in a sense. So that one's not going to be too hard, I think. Um, I do need to do bees still. Sheep, I think I'm just going to have them become hairless like I did in the past. Okay, so irradiated. So if you guys watch one of my most recent videos, um, radiation comes from nukes. So I already made a nuke launcher. Like, yeah, there's already a nuke launcher. Actually, I probably don't want to nuke this area right now. I already made a nuke launcher. Can summon in, call in nuke wherever you want it to, and it's just gonna blow up a huge area. Um, on top of that, the radiation zone is going to be based on where the nuke originally blasted off from. On top of that, if if 10 nukes have gone off in a world, not only is there going to be high radiation zones where the nukes went off, but the entire world is going to have a base level of radiation. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So what I want to do still is I need to get at least these 4 mobs because they're pretty common overworld mobs and I want to have irradiated versions of them. The other thing that I'm going to do is actually make the Sniffer a useful mob. Because what the Sniffer is going to do is... Aww. The Sniffer is actually going to be useful in my version because what I want to do is the Sniffer is basically anti-radiation. So if you're near a Sniffer, it's going to instantly diminish all your radiation. It's going to unmutate mobs, like it's going to make mobs turn back into their normal form. And then like it's actually going to re-transform the world back to what it's supposed to look like. So it's actually going to like transform this stuff back into grass and dirt. And so the Sniffer is kind of like this mob where you can actually transform the world back to the way it was and fight the radiation using a mob that's already kind of useless and kind of making it useful. Where's Fancy at? phase. So that's where I'm at right now. So let's just do. So we got the bee's size already set up. So what I need to do for the bee. What do I want to even do for the bee? Maybe the bee spreads flowers, but like the eye blossom flowers. Ooh, or wither roses, because wither roses, I think either wither roses or eye blossoms, because they're like actually dangerous. So I think it'd be kind of cool if the like bees themselves kind of function like normal, but they're actually spreading dangerous flowers around. I didn't realize you could put wither roses on netherite. Good to know. Good to know. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna make and then open eye blossoms. What can they actually even be on? Dirt. Because the eye blossoms are only gonna work at night. So we're gonna do wither roses because they're gonna be pretty consistently doing damage. But I am also gonna make them. Maybe they'll transform leaves into flowering azaleas. Maybe too. I don't know. Or at least gonna do the wither roses. Gonna copy some of these commands here. No, not those commands. So if you guys have any suggestions, like I said, the mobs that I still need to do, I need something for the villager, the sheep, and the phantom at the very least. Although the sheep, I'll probably just make hairless, but still be normal. The villager is going to be probably just going to turn into like a vindicator. Like a Johnny Vindicator is probably what I was planning to do. I think somebody literally just said that in chat too. I think yeah, they're probably just going to turn into like crazy vindicators, but they're going to take a much longer time to irradiate. And then, like I said, they're just going to transform plants into wither roses. So, wither rose. Place. What plants do we have going on here? Dead brain coral. Okay. This is one example. Alright, good. Hey Guppy, do you think you can make a safe surf boss from the show called Pantheon? Basically a dark black cloud that is hunted and consumed UI. I'm not sure what you mean, quite frankly. Alright, what other plants can the bee replace? Nether sprouts, and we do both of the mushrooms. I think we should mostly do the natural plants though. So like dandelion, poppy, allium, tulips. UI are uploaded intelligence, so humans in a way. Okay. So poppy, was it allium? Is that the next one? Orange, pink, red, white tulip, okay. Orange tulip, pink tulip, and I have radiation poisoning again. Red tulip, and white tulip. Brick. I mistyped all of these. Alright, so that should replace a whole bunch of the flowers. Not every single one. I can add more later. But I do want to do lilac, rosebush, peony. That's exactly what I thought. Give as what's it called? Just want to do at least the azure bluelets. Is it possible to trigger something on another player based on if you are looking at them? For example, the effect uh, person. Yeah, you can do that. Just use XP ray tracing. I've used it a couple times in a couple of videos, but I know also that Fantasy has like a full-on tutorial on how to do that on his channel, so I'd recommend looking at that. I need to make them immune to wither damage. That's what I also need to do. See, the bees just killed themselves, so I gotta fix that one. Other. Did I not type it right? Let me make sure. Oh, well, I think that should work, more or less. I'll just give them regeneration. Oh, whoops, I forgot a very important command. That would have been bad. Ah, I think we're good. Just summon some more radioactive bees, as you do. Well, yeah, this is kind of the basis of the system. So, not too much to make in terms of the commands. I kind of did some of the more exciting ones already. Hello, little salmons. How are we? A little aggressive, but that's alright. As you can see, guys, like the whole point of this world is like the longer you play in an irradiated world, the more different it's going to feel, the more unique everything's going to be. The world itself is going to be changing around you, but it's also largely going to be more dangerous. Like a lot of the aggressive mobs become more dangerous. Um, Even some of the mobs that are normally passive actually have the potential to hurt you now, which I think is pretty neat. even bees slowly make the area around them more dangerous. Which, like I said, I think that's pretty neat. So I think what I'm going to do is mess around now with the Sniffer. Now the Sniffer, like, this is going to be the most unique mob. Because it is literally the only one that actually doesn't have a radioactive form. And counters radiation. Maybe I'm going to make a separate row for the Sniffer, I think. I guess, nope. That's Eddie. Tag equal, type equals Sniffer. Run scoreboard players set at ER equals 50. Unfortunately, Red Fog doesn't work with vibrant visuals. I don't play with vibrant visuals. That is unfortunate, though. Set R equals 50. Scores equal rad equals 1 dot dot. Rad 0. So that's automatically. So basically, nobody should be able to become irradiated. Alright. Yeah, now the sniffer. Now it should prevent irradiation. It should also de-irradiate everything. Is it called a sniffer? Yeah, it is. Alright. Yeah, so if I reset my animations here. Interesting. Oh, I know why. I had a typo. There you go. Now it should prevent mutations. So yeah. Now nothing should be able to become a mutant within the range of a sniffer, which also means that the world cannot become even more corrupted whenever you have a sniffer in the area. All right, and then let's work on some terraforming. Right. So we're gonna do the same deal. Just do this for now. So by the way, in case you guys are wondering what I'm doing, is every mob that terraforms an area, I basically just summon an invisible armor stand. I use spread players to kind of spread it out in the area, and then just execute some kind of command that like replaces some type of block with another type of block, basically. So, yep, that's all I'm doing right now. So for instance, I'm now going to do torch, flower, place wither rose. So it's going to actually summon in custom types of flowers now. Just because it actually matches the sniffer a little bit better, replace those flowers with another flower. Good. Then we're gonna actually start replacing some of these blocks. So we're gonna start with like moss is gonna become grass. Pretty simple one to start with. Oops. Set blocked like that. Okay, interesting. Moss block. Pale moss block. It's gonna be another one. Then netherwart's gonna also become grass. Let's see. What is this stuff called? Skulk vein. Skulk underscore vein. Okay. Okay, so that's gonna get rid of all the skulk vein. We're also gonna do grass. We're gonna do grass replacing skulk. Catalyst. What other blocks we need to get rid of? Slime, I guess I'm gonna kind of leave because slime can come from a whole bunch of different blocks. So maybe I won't fight the slime. Mycelium's gonna become grass. What else is gonna become grass? That's how you spell it. Mycelium's gonna become grass, but then also netherrack's gonna become grass, but also there's the is there another red block I used? The crimson stuff. I don't see it. Whatever. Netherrack's gonna become grass. What else? Soul sand should become sand. Coarse dirt's gonna become grass too. And we'll start with that. That's probably the majority of the things we're going to change back. A lot of it's just changing everything back to grass. And this one's actually going to fire off pretty quickly because it's going to be in a big area. I'm actually going to shrink the area a little bit. You can already see how much is transforming the area back to normal. Oh, that's right. What is this? Cracked another brick? Cracked another bricks. Okay. Cracked another bricks. Become cobblestone. Ooh, that's right. Moss carpet and pale moss carpet need to become air. Go. Yeah, well, I mean, I did an unplanned stream on the middle of a weekday, so I didn't expect there to be too many people, but maybe some people will watch the stream. I just want you guys to know that I am still active. I just haven't been recently because life has been very busy. So, I've not done as much on the channel as I've been wanting to, but you know, been working on it. This is the next major project that I really want to get to, so maybe I'll make a slime block turn into dirt. That might be okay. I do think I need to get rid of the slime. But really, the slime won't be on the surface all that much, so actually, it's probably not that big of a deal. But yeah, so now this sniffer actually functions as a way to kind of fight back against the radiation. So you can, prevent mobs from becoming mutant versions of themselves, prevent them from further mutating the world if a sniffer is nearby. And you can actually transform the world away from being basically radioactive. So if you're in a radioactive world and you want to create an area that's not affected by the radiation, it also prevents you from becoming like you won't get radiation poisoning if you're near a sniffer too. So the sniffer will kind of work in a large area to actually basically de-irradiate entire areas, and it works in a much bigger radius than what all the other mobs do in terms of transforming them. So you only need one sniffer to cover a pretty big area. So you can see these chickens over here became striders. Now they're kind of netherifying up this area. And see, now because there's actually grass for mobs to spawn on, like the whole overworld is actually coming back together. Why are these pigs like glued together? So yeah, there's now actually a way to fight back against the radiation. You can literally see just one sniffer transforming the entire world. And if I summon a bunch, it should pretty quickly get rid of everything. So I'm gonna change so slime, and then what is this stuff called? Just skulk. Is it just skulk or what? Skulk block maybe. No, just skulk. Okay. We're gonna make skulk blocks and slime blocks become dirt. Dirt. Skulk. And slime. Alright. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of sniffers right there, transferring the whole area back into basically the non-irradiated version of itself. So yeah, now you actually have an intentional way to, number one, make the sniffer kind of useful, and number two, actually get rid of radiation, fight back against it. So I think that's a pretty cool addition. That was actually from a comment, I believe, to make the sniffer combat radiation. So shout out to whoever that was. I don't remember who it was. But yeah, now you can actually fight back against radiation, which I think is pretty neat. I think I should probably get rid of cobwebs too, right? Replace cobwebs with air. Realize that I had a typo here. I swapped these. There we go. And turn it back on. But yeah, you can see the world is healing, guys. All right. On that note, thank you guys so much for coming. I am going to end stream here, but I appreciate you guys coming and joining the stream. I hope you guys found it informative, enlightening, and inspiring. But seriously, keep an eye out for the actual video where I kind of go through all the mutant mobs, and at that point I will probably have a world download or structure file download, one of the two, for you guys to be able to enjoy playing this for yourself. Alright, thanks for coming. Bye.